Superman is a box office flop, and the media is lying to protect James Gunn. I don't know, but I guess we're going to find out if that's true or not, guys. Here, let's check it out.
Just a few days ago, I mentioned how important it was for Warner Brothers to present James Gunn's Superman movie as a huge win for the studio, especially when you compare it to Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
True, it is important for them to present it that way. Will they present it that way if it's not, though?
And ever since I brought it up, it seems like there's been a rather desperate attempt to push this very narrative within the mainstream media, likely due to an aggressive PR push coming from Warner Brothers themselves, because their studio has so much riding on James Gunn's movie, and it's almost too big to fail, at least the way they see it. That's why it's no coincidence that you've probably already seen several well-timed articles in recent days celebrating James Gunn's Superman as the most successful Superman ever released, putting to shame any other Superman movies, especially Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
Yes, that's true. We have seen a lot of that. You haven't seen it from me. I haven't necessarily said any of those things. I like Man of Steel and I like Superman. I think this Superman movie is good. I don't think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I think it's a good movie. It was generally fun. When I came out, I felt like I had fun in the theater.
Now, the big problem I have is that if you actually pay attention to the fine print, Gunn's Superman has only done decently at the domestic box office, and not even at the international one, where
I don't know about that. Only done decently at the domestic box office. Domestic box office, you specifically said. It's done really well at the domestic box office. Really well. You got to remember, we're not done here either. You know, we've got more time left. I wouldn't say that the domestic box office, it is doing well. It does have good ratings and reviews. Those two things are true. Internationally, not so much.
Superman is actually performing quite poorly right now. Not to mention that most of these
Internationally, domestic, if he's saying that it's poor domestic-wise, I'm not on board. Because, no, it's not poor domestic-wise.
very gun-friendly articles that I keep seeing, they don't actually bother to...
Oh, and again, guys, remember, if you don't know me, I don't care about directors. I don't care about actors. I care about Superman, and that's it. Some Superman movies I like more than others. I have problems with every single one of them, including Reeve. And when I hear stuff like this, I hear a little bit of... I don't know. I'll save my tongue till the end, I guess.
Just previous Superman movies for inflation so that we can actually compare them. And the reason they're not doing that is that they're going to great lengths to paint Gunn Superman in a very positive way rather than in an unflattering way.
I've never known a theater to be like, hey, this movie's done the greatest of all this particular genre ever. Oh, except for inflation. Nobody's ever done that. Like, that's not something people do. It's not something anybody does. And part of the reason is because adjusting for inflation is so unreliable. Some stuff is up 20%. Some stuff is up 200%. I mean, you know, like, people aren't going to the movies nearly as much as they were pre-pandemic. Some of you guys have told me when I've said that, oh, no, people are going to the movies. No, they're not. The movies are struggling. They've been struggling since the pandemic. They have been struggling, and it has been very hard. I mean, it's been very difficult for people. People aren't wanting to get out in big crowds quite like they used to. I mean, the cinematic experience can be done at home so much easier. Streaming comes so much faster. When Man of Steel came out, the movie wasn't streaming just a few months after it came out. You know what I mean? Like, it's totally different now.
And every time I bring this up, I seem to
And people know they can wait for it to come on streaming because I've seen tons of you comment that in my comments. I'll just wait for stream.
get a lot of pushback for it, and the main argument I keep hearing is, well, why don't you also adjust the production budgets for inflation and not just the box office? And you know what?
Okay.
In order to help resolve all the confusion and the gaslighting that we're seeing from the media these days, I will attempt to address everybody's concerns. But before we dive in, if it's not too much trouble, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. As an
Link for the original video is in the description, guys. Go ahead and check him out.
independent news source, I always do my best to bring people different angles of a story, and any type of support I could
Oh, and subscribe to me, too.
get would be greatly appreciated.
Do it.
What we're gonna do today is look at all these past Superman movies, adjusted for inflation, and see exactly how James Gunn's movie ranks amongst them. And then
All right, well, already, like I just told you, adjusted for inflation numbers is not really that good to do. There's so many factors in every industry. Inflation just means how much the dollar has lost its value. That's all inflation means. It has nothing to do with how much each industry has changed. It has nothing to do with how much, like, TVs. I bought a TV many years ago, about 10, maybe 20, I don't know. And the cost of it was insane. And I bought two TVs last year, and both of them combined wasn't more than that, and they're better TVs. You know what I'm saying? Like you inflation isn't always accurate, is what I'm trying to say.
We'll be able to see if James Gunn's Superman is really the most successful Superman movie of all time. Now, let's take a look. This is a list that I've made.
Domestically, I truly think it is. I truly think it is. And that's not saying that it's better than Man of Steel or better than anything. It's just saying I think domestically it is going to be is the biggest key here because it's not done yet.
The different Superman movies that have ever received a theatrical release, all with budgets and box office proceeds adjusted for inflation. Now, clearly you can see that without a doubt, the number one Superman movie ever made is actually Richard Donner's 1978 Superman, the movie, because if you adjust its budget, it cost $271 million to make, and it generated an adjusted box office take of $1.484 billion. So this one is the undisputed winner. To be fair, it's not all that surprising, because much like Star Wars, this movie was considered so groundbreaking when it came out. It was the first time that a comic book movie was taken so seriously by the people making it that until today, it's considered a blueprint for anybody trying to make some type of comic book movie.
Yes, as a matter of fact, a lot of the Marvel movies that were made, they watched this movie first before they made them. A lot of people that don't like Superman don't realize that, but this is a blueprint. Literally, they're using it as a blueprint. They watch it, they write stuff down, and then they go and write their own movies.
Featuring any type of origin story, and rightfully so. Next, in second place, we have Zack Snyder's Batman vs. Superman.
Which I like that movie. A lot of people have dogged on it. I like the Ultimate Cut better, but I like that movie. I never really thought it was a bad movie. I don't know if I like it better than Man of Steel. Man of Steel is, just focusing on Superman, and I do like Man of Steel better, I think. But
an adjusted budget of $353 million and an adjusted worldwide box office of $1.17 billion. Now, to be fair,
one of the things, too, before we even get to the actual Superman one, which I'm assuming could be on the bottom there, who knows? I don't know when he did these numbers. It's not done. Superman is not done yet. It's got. Are we halfway through? I think right now is what we are, and it's got more run. Now it's not going to do as well as it did in the beginning. No movie ever does. But still, it's holding strong. It's getting several million a day still.
Since this is a movie also featuring Batman, I'm willing to ignore it, even though if nothing else, it does prove that Snyder wasn't necessarily the huge failure that Warner Brothers and the media always seem to imply. It doesn't mean you have to like his movies. I certainly have my criticism towards him and some of his creative choices. I'm just saying that on a business level, maybe his audience wasn't as wide as the type that went to see those MCU movies at the time, but he did have an audience, for whatever that's worth. And to be fair, the studio didn't exactly give Snyder much leeway when it came to executing his original vision for DC because they wanted an instant Avengers setup to compete with Disney's MCU at the time. And with all of that being said, in third place on the list is Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. It has an adjusted budget of $311 million and an adjusted worldwide box office take of $924 million. And if you actually adjust his domestic box office, Snyder, at the moment, is doing much better than Gunn is doing right now. And
that'll change. Yeah, I don't think domestically, even adjusted for inflation, that Man of Steel is going to beat. I'd have to go look and see. I'm not going to do it right now, but I have to go look and see what the numbers would be. I'm not exactly sure where. I don't know.
Where I think Warner Brothers and Gunn have the biggest issue, because if Gunn can't perform better than Snyder, then rehiring and then refiring Henry Cavill and firing Gal Gadot and then bringing back Ben Affleck and firing him again, all that weird stuff doesn't really seem all that justified if the guy they brought in can't outdo this other guy that they seem to dislike so much. And again, doesn't matter sentiments here. We're talking business, not feelings. And I suspect that Warner and Gunn are try and avoid all of these kind of narratives that I'm telling you, and that's why they absolutely want to say that James Gunn is the best thing that ever happened. In reality, though, James Gunn's Superman, adjusted for inflation at this moment in time, is ranked in 7th place out of 9, only actually beating both Superman 3 and Superman 4 at the adjusted box office. Now, Superman 3 is a movie that I don't actually hate, but it was already a diminished.
Let's go back and look at that. Superman, he's got the budget, he's got domestic. Okay, so Superman is way past that now. It's already over 300 million. So, yeah, these numbers, is it over 300 million? I think it is. I don't know. I get my numbers confused. I'm pretty sure it's over 300 million now. So these numbers are not accurate anymore. This video is pretty new. Because it's not done yet. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's not done yet. We're comparing, how your cake tastes before the other person's cake is out of the oven. You can't do that.
Box office. Now, Superman 3 is a movie that I don't actually hate, but it was already a diminishing return when it came out in 1983, and it was
I don't absolutely hate it either.
on the silly side. 1987.
I think the silly side is what saved it.
Superman 4 was a complete production disaster where the studio that produced it had gone bankrupt while they were filming it. So on the one hand, they may have made this movie for rather cheap, but on the other hand, it performed rather poorly at the box office. And this is basically James Gunn's big achievements. That on this,
The biggest problem with, I think, Superman 4 is that they went ultra political, and Superman gets rid of all the nuclear arms in the world. It's like, why not just get rid of all weapons? Why not just get, you know what I mean? Like, it's like it didn't make a ton of sense.
list, he is somehow better than Superman 3 or 4 when you adjust his numbers for inflation. And you know what? If I were him, I wouldn't be bragging right now. I don't know how everything's going to look at the end of his run. Maybe without any adjustments, he'll be able to claim that he somehow got something close to Snyder or a little bit above what he did. But
I don't know what this guy's opinions are on the Superman movie. He hasn't said. It does sound like he doesn't like this movie. Just simply because of how far in lengths he's going to show that it's not done well before we've even got the final numbers in. Not only that, streaming and DVD sales and all that is a big deal too. And I have a feeling with the good word of mouth this movie has, it's probably going to do really well on that front. And I don't know. I'm not like a shill for this movie. If I was, I'd have a much bigger channel, and I'd have a lot more views. But I will say that this movie, I don't see it as a failure. I see it as doing exactly what it probably needed to do. It just needed to reboot the DC universe. And sometimes you make an investment without expecting a return on doing something like that, because the next movies will have more eyes on them.
you know what? This is really a poor man's win. This isn't the reason he was hired. They brought him in here to create a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Franchise, not movie, franchise.
And this Superman movie was supposed to be a grand slam, home run, slam dunk, and
I don't think anybody expected that, because people forget. It's very hard to get a first-time movie with no big-name actors to pass $1 billion. It's very difficult. Does it happen? Sure it does. Is it normal? No. People talk about, it's not as good as the Avengers Endgame. Do you know how many movies led up to that? Do you know how many big name actors were involved in that? Like that's it's apples and oranges. It's not even the same thing. This movie, I never expected it. You can go back to my old videos. I never expected it to make $1 billion. Never expected that to happen. And they are smart. They make movies. They should know these things too. They are investing in the future of DC. That's what they're doing. And I think, because DC did this over and over with Superman Returns, with Man of Steel, they were trying to get movies with good critical reception, because what happens with good critical reception is people then go and watch the movie at home with their friends, get their friends involved, like I did with my friend in Guardians of the Galaxy. Then when the other ones came out, they went and watched them in the theaters. You see, you build an audience outside of the theater after the movie's over when you have good critical reception. When you don't have good critical reception, people don't care to see it because they heard it was bad.
didn't do it. And
all your money is just at the box office.
People can get mad at me all they want. If he can't have a good worldwide box office take and his domestic isn't even beating all these other movies when you adjust for inflation, I don't think that this is a major win here.
But the good word of mouth, and after this thing comes to streaming, the rest of the world finally decides to see it and shows their friends, the people that don't want to pay for it. That's when it'll develop its fan base, and the next movies will have more attention on them. It's not rocket science. I mean, I've been a business owner for over a decade, and you have to think about things in the long term.
It's more of a flop. And I understand that people
That's where he lost me. The word flop. That's not what a flop is. Okay, a flop is Snow White. A flop is when you outright lose money. I don't think this movie is going to outright lose money. I think it needs about 550 million to break even, and I think it's going to get past that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think people they go all crazy on how much it's going to need and all this, and I don't think it's going to be what people think. I think that all these made up numbers and all this stuff is just coming from nowhere. I've heard people say as much as 800 million. They wouldn't have done it if it needed that much to break even. You see what I'm saying? They wouldn't have. They're not that stupid. I don't know.
like Gunn and they like his movies, and I myself have liked some of Gunn's previous movies. I didn't like his Superman, but whatever I like and don't like is really irrelevant here. The bottom line is, what do the numbers say? And the numbers say that James Gunn and Warner Brothers are going to do a whole song and dance here to try to convince you of different things, but I don't really see that happening when I look at the actual facts. Now, can James Gunn's movie still make more at the box office? Sure. I still think it can make like $100 or $150 million, but I don't think that his movie is performing better than Man of Steel. And if you want to keep receiving
Yeah, I think it is domestically. I really truly believe that. It's obviously not internationally.
these type of more honest box
Why is a tiger looking at me? Why is there a tiger?
office reports from an independent news source like myself, please make sure to like and subscribe, as it would really help my channel. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy.
All right, well, guys, that was a fun video to check out. I don't know if I agree with his opinions. I feel like he's a little bit jaded, one-sided. I'm only one-sided towards Superman, which is why when Smallville came out, I got so mad at that show because I was too pure to certain aspects of the character. I've learned to grow and get past that and be able to see things for what they are, which is why I think I'm not having a big problem with this new movie. Why I didn't have a big problem with Man of Steel. I just have problems with them, not big enough to make me not like the movie. Don't forget to check out this video right here, guys.